Very powerful lord, Don Francisco Tenamaztle, ruler of the province of Nochistlan and Jalisco, appeared before the Council of the Indies. I have been sent to the kingdom of Castile, a prisoner in exile, disposed of my title and lands, suffering many injuries, insults, and persecutions. The beginning of these sufferings were from Nuño de Guzman, who was the first Spaniard to enter my lands. I, being the ruler, justifiably defended my lands after learning the atrocities he had committed in the provinces he entered. To add to this, more Spaniards came, also committing all sorts of crimes against the people and working them to death in the mines. We also saw how they executed the 9 rulers who hadn't done anything. Because of this, me and the other pueblos rebelled, with me being on the run for 9 years. Then, going by my own free will to the bishop assigned to the area, he told me that I should go to the viceroy of New Spain. There I was put in chains and sent overseas to Spain. I ask you to restore me to my title in Nochistlan and Xochipila. I also proposed, with my help, to bring the Zacatecos and Huachichil peoples under the crown of Spain in word of God. I finally ask that the native rulers of New Spain be left to govern their rightful lands that are their birthright, and that their heirs will succeed them, all while recognizing the authority of the kings of Spain. Nuño de Guzman's expedition in the 1530s to western Mexico brought the Spaniards into contact with the cultures of western Mexico and also into conflict with them. They were not used to the system of tribute the Spaniards tried imposing on them. Because of this, they would execute the rulers of these lands and use corporal punishment against the natives. This led to much discontent in the area, mostly inhabited by Caxcans and Zacatecos. The Spaniards began seeing the natives gather in areas where they would dance. Some Spaniards heard that the natives who attended spoke to their gods, who promised them many things. Some of these promises included that the dead would rise from their graves, with gifts of turquoise, gold, and feathers. The fields will tend to themselves. As well as that fish would jump into their hands. All this would happen if they took up arms against the Spaniards. The natives stopped planting crops and began to show open defiance to the Spaniards. The first pueblos to rise up were those of Xochipila, Apuzol, and Xalapa, and its surrounding villages. The people of these pueblos were Caxcans and Chichimecas, both speakers of Uto-Aztecan languages related to the Nahuatl spoken by the Aztecs. Their population moved up to the mountain fortresses called Peñols. The first, and the one that gave the name to the conflict, was called Mixton. A delegation was sent by the Spaniards, but they were all killed, including a Franciscan friar. To add to this, 15,000 natives descended from the mountain, killing many of the Spanish, and the Spaniards who survived the attack retreated to the capital of Guadalajara. They sent a notice to all friendly areas to send reinforcements. They assembled about 150 horsemen. In the settlement, they learned about the leaders of a town called Nochistlan and how its rulers Don Juan and Tenamaztle were the masterminds behind this coordinated revolt. In 1541, the Spaniards also asked for the infamous conquistador Pedro de Alvarado, who had recently conquered Guatemala and the surrounding area, to help put down the revolt. He at once went to Guadalajara, through a pass near Tonala, then went straight to besieging the Mixton, which he did with 400 Spaniards and native allies, declining reinforcements. He was met by 15,000 men, including the leaders of the rebellion. The Spanish and their allies were overwhelmed by the force of the native rebels. While leading his horse through the mud, Alvarado was crushed by his horse that fell on him. The Spanish force retreated, and Alvarado later died of his wounds. Emboldened, the natives tried to besiege Guadalajara, but were defeated and retreated. Command was now given to the Viceroy of New Spain, Antonio de Mendoza. In November 1541, he assembled a force of 450 Spaniards and thousands of native allies from central Mexico. He went into Caxcan land and eventually besieged and captured Nochistlan, where Tenamaztle, the leader of the uprising, escaped, until he turned himself in 1550. By early 1542, the expedition had captured the fortress of Mixton. This concluded the Mixton War, but the Spaniards had shown excessive violence towards those they captured, forcing many to work in the mines and on farms, all under the orders of the Viceroy. Because the Spanish were able to put down this rebellion, they opened a new frontier into the northern deserts of Mexico. Although they would find untold riches here, they would come into an even more violent conflict with the nomadic tribes who inhabited the area.